There was a lot of moments of feeling very alone with owning a business, and people are always doing their own things. And I think for me, it just got to a point where I was just like, no one's going to remember me for my work, my business, my money, whatever. They're going to know me for how I showed up for them, the friend I was, the listener I was. That matters more to me than putting all my eggs into my work basket.
This is the Home of Healthspan podcast, where we profile health and wellness role models, sharing their stories and the tools, practices, and routines they use to live a lively life. Sabrina, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I am happy you are here as well, because you actually practice a modality that I am not sure I'd heard much about maybe 2 months ago. And then now I hear it everywhere. We've had a few guests that it's showing up on theirs. A friend of mine where I live in my gym who I work out with, she's like, hey, now I do this. And so can you share a little bit about your journey into lymphatic massaging?
Yeah, definitely. It's been like quite an interesting journey, actually. And it's funny because I think people still call it like new when it's been around forever. It's just obviously with, I think, being in LA and like social media, things just appear new because it's now talked about, but it's been around. But my personal journey with lymphatic is I was a dancer my whole life. So that was like my career. That was my bread and butter. And it's still my number one passion. But obviously with dance, it's like you have only so long to really take have that career. Because, as we get older, our bodies start breaking down. It got to like my almost late 20s where I was like, okay, I think I need to find something else to do as like alongside dancing, just in case. So being a dancer, we were so involved with like the body and having to be very aware of muscles and the feelings and whatnot. So we were very intuitive with the bodies being a dancer. So I was like, okay, I could do nursing, I could do fitness, or I can do massage. And just massage just sounded so much more intriguing to me than the other two. So I went to massage school, had every intention of doing like sports massage and deep tissue. I started learning lymph. And I was like, I don't know what this is still, but it's interesting. So I still really had no idea. And the way I learned in school was a very light method. So it was kind of boring in a way.
Okay.
But something about it was still really intriguing to me. And I think it was like the science behind it that I was like, oh, I've never even knew what this lymph thing was.
For our listeners, can you explain maybe a brief intro on to the lymphatic system and the purpose behind? Yeah.
So the lymphatic system is pretty much like your immune system. It kind of sits right under the skin, but also scattered all throughout your body. It consists of like the lymph fluid, lymph nodes, lymph organs, lymph vessels. And its main job is to pretty much fight invaders in your body to keep us healthy. So most people don't even know it's there, but it's a huge, huge, huge role in wellness. And I think the more I started learning about the lymph, I was like, why are we not talking about this? Or why are we not doing anything about this? Like, this is huge.
It's our army bases. It's everything, right? That's protecting us. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in my head, I'm like such like a creative too with being a dancer. So in my head, I think of these little like cells with like armor, like knight armor, and they're like going around our bodies like this, like killing things and making sure we're healthy. And if we have a cut, we got to fix that and we got to do this. So it's just like amazing. I don't know. The more I learned about what lymph actually does, the more I loved it. And I also think with LA and how things get trendy, there was a big, like everyone wanted lymphatic because of like an aesthetic purpose or a before and after, which is cool and it's great, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah. So maybe touch on what because that's what I see a lot. It's reducing bloating, right? That's a big thing that it's supposed to do.
Which is great. We all love bloating being reduced, but I think with a lot of places, it kind of comes across like this is a weight loss thing only, or get skinny quick kind of thing. And it's not that, it shouldn't be that. But instead of, it should be like, let's heal you from the inside out. Let's move out the excess water that we're holding. that might be holding on to diseases and just bacteria and things that we just don't need.
Yeah. So that excess water that we're storing, it's not like it's distilled pristine water. There's microbes, there's other things in that.
Yeah, there's things that sits in this that, and then the way I like to explain it to people and like my clients, especially just to paint like a visual, it's like if our body was like a water hose, and like water hoses when it has a knot inside and one side of that water hose just starts building and building and building. That's like our bodies. So that's how sometimes we get inflammation or swelling in a certain area. And that's sometimes that area is not the problem. It's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah. As someone that has bursitis right now, right? I'm retaining some fluid in my shoulder that I don't really want there.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like, for instance, a lot of women, or even sometimes even men too, carry a lot of fluid around their like pectoral muscles and their lats and their triceps. And they're like, oh, it's the problem. And I'm like, is it though? It could be the armpit and the lymph nodes around that.
That's blocked or retaining. Okay. And so what does a lymphatic massage look like? Like how long does it take? What does it feel like?
So for mine specifically, they're about an hour to 2 hours. I don't do bisection only because I do believe you need a full body to drain to get a full drain. So you can't just do the stomach and think you're going to be okay. You got to get the legs in there. You got to get the arms. You got to get the face. Like it takes the whole body to really move to get that drain longer lasting.
And it's kind of flushing out the system is the idea? Okay.
Yeah, it's flushing out the system. Its goal is to eliminate the toxins through excretion. So obviously the excretion won't be right away, thank God.
Right.
But it'll be like throughout the next few days of like, urine, stool, runny nose sometimes, sweating, like all of these ways of excretion is how we're going to start eliminating all of those things inside us that we don't need.
Yeah. I mean, because I think when we think about recovery, a lot of times it's, especially when it's around fitness or anything, like you talked about initially going in as thinking sports massage, right? It's the muscles. We need to recover the muscles. And that's a side of it. But there's this entire other system working 24/7 in overdrive, trying to keep us safe from a pretty rough environment. Like it's certainly more sterile today than it used to be. But that could also need a lot of focus on recovery. And it sounds like that's what you're doing for people.
1,000%. And I mean, we definitely need muscle recovery. Like I do think with lymph, when muscles are so tight and tense, it could block lymph. So you need both, both and, right?
Yeah.
But there is a whole nother part about recovery that, people don't really do. Like I'm not a huge fan of HIIT workouts personally, especially for women. I think it causes a lot of stress on our bodies that are already stressed, where I think sometimes our lymph needs something a little more caring and a little more like relaxing, nurturing, yummy to really get your body to be in a parasympathetic mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we live so much of our lives in that fight or flight. I just had a friend that actually got injections into her vagus and in her neck. And she was like, the world looked different. I mean, this was a week later and she was saying for 4 years, I'd been living in this uber heightened state and everything just looked different. She just was such a proselytizer for it. And we don't realize that we're just living at this level all the time. You need to bring it down.
Totally. I mean, and that's everything. I think that's the hustle mentality that there is out there now. I think it's the needing to get the quick fixes and to do more when it's like, no, less is more for everything, I think, and especially I think with the environment and how everything's going. And I don't know if you're in LA.
I'm not. Yeah, I live in Bermuda.
Good for you. Way slower pace. But I mean, with here in LA too, it is very fast. It is very hustle. And I'm like, sometimes they just need to breathe and pause and relax and slow down and just do the walk. You don't need to run. Just do the yoga. Our bodies actually need more than that because we have so much stress surrounding us 24/7. So to find those little pockets where we can fully recover and relax and just try to de-stress.
On that, I mean, how frequently do you suggest people do something like this?
Lymphatic massage wise, my clients come like once a month.
Okay.
Way I like to think of it is it's really hard to escape like toxicity in every form. Like we still have to live our lives and have a good amount of balance and still enjoy and have fun.
Right.
So I always say, like, go do your thing. Try to be healthy when you can. Don't be hard on yourself if you have a bad meal or if you have a little bit too much extra wine. Like, you did it. Great. Recover the next day. Have some grace. Drink some water.
Yeah.
And then once a month, let's just drain out those toxins before we put some more back on. Like, I'm not going to tell everyone to be like, you can't drink alcohol. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have to do it. Because it's not realistic.
I know with the brain, at least, like a lot of the toxins and things that get built up, it's our sleep that is the natural cleaning and flushing system. Does that work for the lymphatic system? That is an important part of that as well?
Rest and sleep is crucial. And that's something I'm actually working a little bit more on now myself, is like, I got my Aura ring.
Yeah. And
tracking my sleep, and I'm like now obsessed with it a little bit, because I'm like, oh, I didn't get my crown today. I'll sleep a little more tomorrow. But it is a huge part of lymphatic. For instance, I feel clients and they're like, I eat right. I do all the things. I'm healthy. I do yoga twice a day. Great. Are you stressed? Yeah. Are you sleeping? Not really. I think that has a lot to do with it, you know? So I think when someone does have high stress and has a lot going on, like in their heads at night, it does, affect their sleep. It all starts from the mind, I think.
Well, then it impacts everything too. So you said now that you have the Aura, you're looking more at it, you're tracking more. What are your routines and practices now that you're seeing what works, what doesn't? How do you think about that?
A big one for me was eliminating screen time.
Okay.
And my phone, because I know with the phones, obviously there's all the blue light stuff going on right now with the phones too, but also it's just like the imposter syndrome, what people are doing, it's an addiction.
The mindset side of it too.
Yeah. It all sits in your head and you're like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. And then you go to sleep that way. And now I can't sleep. So it's stopping my phone earlier. I actually, even on my iPhone, there's ways to change the setting of the lighting. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that 3-click red light.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do that a lot. And I even do black and white mode for a lot of the day, which is, it's hard to read and it's hard to see things, but it does help me not be on it so long, and it helps my eyes. And I actually feel such a difference with like headaches and like eye strain also.
Yeah. So what is that kind of nightly routine? I mean, do you think about when you eat to when you put the device away to when, like, how that whole process plays out?
Yeah. So I do a lot of sauna in the evening because sauna makes me so sleepy. I have my office actually in my back house. So it's really easy for me just to sauna and then come home.
Nice.
So great that way. But if anyone has access to a sauna, I love that in the evenings. It's one of the best things for us.
Do you have a barrel sauna, infrared? Like what kind of sauna do you have?
Infrared sauna. Yeah. And it's just, it helps. I get so tired after, and it just puts me already in like a good, like I feel healthy leaving there, and then finish off with like a nice fast, not too hot, not too cold shower. I put magnesium oil, the Symbiotica spray one, on the bottoms of my feet.
Okay.
And I also use a Symbiotica like chocolate liquid. They put on a spoon too. I take that before bed also, and it kind of just helps your body recover, helps you sleep. But magnesium in the evenings is also fantastic.
Yeah.
And I like it both on the bottoms of the feet and to ingest it also, because they have different benefits.
I had a spray for a while, and it was like underarms and bottom of the feet. It was certain absorption points. Yeah.
Yes. So I love the at night routines, and that's actually something that I'm working on coming out with myself too.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Well, because we just sleep there. That's the best time to get as much stuff as we can while doing nothing. Like letting your body just do its thing.
I mean, it's actually when we learn. I came across that. And then so now with my daughter, when she's learning her new spelling words, whatever it is, it's like before bedtime, this is a good time to do it, because then we'll go down to sleep and you'll learn it while you sleep.
Totally. I even started doing like the affirmations at night, where you listen to stuff and it's like at first I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I listening to this? But then later on, like you start seeing differences of like how you show up and what you believe about yourself. It's actually pretty interesting.
Now, you talked about it isn't just the blue lights and the engagement that they can make it hard to go to sleep. It's also what you're putting into your mind and the mindset that you have. So one of your practices, it sounds like, is go to black and white because it makes it less engaging. I spend less time on it. Do you have any other kind of mindfulness, stress management practices that you incorporate into your days or weeks?
Yeah, I do a lot of meditations.
Okay.
Meditating has been really good for me. I love that more in the mornings.
Yeah.
It's just a nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the evenings, I just fall asleep and then I don't get to do my affirmations. So I'm like, I get too relaxed. So my mornings is just a nice way to like ground myself. It just starts my day on a right note. So I like to meditate in the mornings. It's a huge one for me.
Do you use anything for those meditations? Is it just you, or do you have apps that you use?
No, I use two different apps. I use Open.
Okay.
Open's app is really good. And then there's also this influencer who has her own also called, her name's Stephanie Flockhart, and her affirmation and like her morning meditations are amazing.
Do you have a meditation cushion? Like how I found for me, it made it so much more comfortable when I had something sitting on just how my tightness of my legs.
I just sit on my grass.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. So you're grounding while you're doing it.
Yeah. In the backyard. I can't do the front because I'll be too distracted with like people walking by. But no, grass in the backyard is just, that's perfect. If it's cold, then I'll just put the blinds up, have the sun come in and just do it inside.
You mentioned you don't recommend HIIT so much. And you mentioned yoga, maybe walks. What is your kind of fitness and movement routine and practice?
A lot of walking. I actually gave myself a challenge this year and I got rid of my car.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In LA. And I'm like, if I need to go anywhere, I could walk there. And if it's too far, I'll just Uber. But a lot of walking. Like if I want to get my nails done, it's a treat to myself. I'm going to walk there. You know, if I'm going to go take a workout class, I'll walk there. I do a lot of EMS workouts also. Have you heard of those?
I don't know. What's EMS?
It's like a suit that you put on. Someone comes to your house and like operates it for you. But it's pretty much suits that are contracting your muscles in specific areas. So you're working out while it's contracting your muscles. And it's also really nice for your lymph. So I do that as well.
What kind of classes? You said you walk to the classes. What kind of classes do you do?
Hot yoga. I started getting a little bit more into like cycling too, just to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was different. But I try to mix it up. I have ClassPass. So if I get bored of one thing for too long, I'll go and like try something else.
As much as you're walking, do you think at all about, do you find there's certain shoes that are more comfortable that get you out walking more than others?
Not too much. I probably should. Like I know On Clouds are really good and light. I'm not like a huge like runner per se. So I'm never really been into like what shoes do I need for roads or this or that. But I just use New Balances. I think they're comfy and they're good. I have high arches and it works for me. But I know shoes because my mom and sister are both big runners. And they work with different things also. Like my sister's an On Cloud girl through and through, and while my mom's a Brooks girl. Okay. So every feet is so particular and different depending on the shape, your arches, your inversions, all that stuff. There's so many factors when it comes to shoes, I think.
And they can change with time, right? The shape of your feet, if you do wear heels a lot or don't wear heels or you have more spread toes, like it all changes through life.
It definitely changes. And that's, I mean, yeah, I wear a lot of heels too. They're not the best for your feet, but it's something that I dance in a lot. Like it's a huge workout for me too. It's dancing and then the heels dancing. And that for me is like a big form of self-expression and getting into the feminine. And I love it, but I know later on, like, ooh, my feet, I don't know if my feet will love that later, or my hips might not like that either also. So it's, finding the balance. Again, balance is like a big word for me. It's like, if you like something and you enjoy it, then do it. Just, counteract it with something that's going to also be beneficial in other ways.
You actually said something earlier about, right, you were a dancer. And it's very intuitive. You can feel your body, you can sense what it needs, how to move it. And we've had Lauren Sampatero, who's a Broadway dancer as well on the show. We've had Nicole Wild, a yoga instructor, and envy is probably the wrong word to use, but I certainly respect that intuitiveness in terms of being able to sense, oh, today this part's not feeling right. Here's more what my body needs. And so this is the kind of movement I'm going to lean into and away from this. Whereas I find these online programs and I just go do them regardless of how my body feels. And then I get hurt and I have all these issues. So for someone like me, and maybe more than just me in terms of the listeners, for people less attuned today to those signals from their body. As someone who kind of built that over your life, and then you're very attuned even to other people's bodies as a therapist. How do you suggest people start building that insight and that knowledge, that self-knowledge?
Yeah. So I actually had a client tell me this tip, and she was a oracle reader. So she does a lot of readings and does energies, and she can just feel people's energies and their spiritual bodies and what they need, which is really cool. I've never done anything like that before. But she put it in a way that I was like, okay, everyone could actually use this, because it is a really simple and effective way to kind of see what your body really wants. And she kind of stated like, okay, well, if you just sit down, close your eyes, just really just sit into your body, do a little like, okay, check in with your feet, check in with your hips, check in with your gut, check in with your chest, like go through each chakra, right? And then let's say you have two options of things to do, right? You have your yoga on your left hand, and you have your HIIT workout on your right hand. Just kind of sit in with it, feel your body, and kind of like, okay, does this one feel good? No, let me step back a little bit. How does that one feel today? That kind of makes me nervous. I don't really want to do that one today. Go back. Okay, yeah, yoga feels really good today. Like that's what I want to do. So it's like actually taking the time and the moment to sit, go through and scan your body, and really just try to think of like little circles around each of these options. Like, okay, which one does it really feels good?
Yeah.
It's like the whole flip the quarter game. And if it lands on heads and you don't want to do heads, then you're like, great, I'm going to do tails.
Now I know. Yeah.
Right now I know.
I thought I was 50-50, but I'm clearly not. Yeah.
You're like, dang. That's always a way to kind of determine.
Yeah. I'm really curious on that. I could definitely use more of it, but there's a flip side. I just had a blog post I published this week on leaning into discomfort. So the former IBM CEO, Ginny Rometty, was saying, and she was speaking with Adam Grant about the times that she's learned the most, that she's advanced the most, is in these periods of discomfort.
Yeah.
And so sensing the discomfort and then always shying away from it, sometimes it may be preventing an injury, sometimes it may be preventing growth. And so it's this really hard line to navigate.
I think it goes back to the word balance. Like, and also maybe seeing if it's something that you're just scared of.
Right.
Or if it's something that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
And, but I get that too. Like you definitely have to step out of your comfort zone sometimes to really learn things,
Yeah.
Like going cycling was definitely out of my comfort zone. I've never that is not my thing. Was it fun? Yeah. Now I know, but then now I think it's good to try things that are out of your comfort zone. So now it's in your body, you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't knock things until I try it. But if it's like, oh, you know what? My knee really hurt during that class. Like it hurt really bad after. Do I need that right now? Or do I do something more restorative? You know what I mean? So
100%.
I think it's always good to try things.
At the right time. I mean, I do go back to something you said earlier as well on it of finding that right thing for you, because it's less important that you run or do yoga or cycle or lift weights than that you get up and move and do something. And whatever it's going to be that's exciting to you, enjoyable to you, that will get you to do it more, that's the right thing.
100%.
I was having this kind of argument with someone at the gym today. I was saying group classes are terrible. So, well, because he's a personal trainer. And I was saying, well, look, I get the individual, the very personalized, that is better. But if for economic reasons, time reasons, whatever it is, social reasons, people are not going to do that, but they will do this.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I can't say classes are
Better.
always bad, right? Like classes could be the best thing if that's what's going to get somebody to move.
100%.
And it doesn't have to be 100% of the time, right? Like you can mix it and do these different things. Yeah.
No, it's so true though. Like everyone just needs and requires so many different things. Like that class that they go to might be their one chance of getting community that day, you know? So there's so many things that people like need, and it doesn't have to be the physical. It could be like the emotional, the support, the community. It could be anything. So
for sure.
I think there's something for everybody, and there's no right or wrong. There's no better. There's no any of that. It's just whatever you look forward to, go freaking do it. You know, we should do more things that make us happy and that we look forward to and jump out of bed for.
Besides the walking, are there any things that you do at home that you have? They say, hey, I don't have to go to a gym or a class. I have this if I want to get this kind of movement while I'm here.
I dance.
Oh, amazing. Yeah,
I blast my music and I dance.
You have a good space to be able to do that.
Oh, great space. I mean, everyone does. Like you make space. You can dance in the shower. You can dance anywhere. Like I think that's actually a big thing that people get scared to, not people, adults get scared to do because they feel like they're going to be judged even though they're by themselves. Like when was the last time like you danced by yourself in your house just the way you wanted to, like a kid?
Yeah. I mean, with my daughter, like I have a young child. So yeah, I'd love doing it.
Okay. Well, that's great. But I think it's like getting back into that like childlike fun and like everyone who doesn't like dancing, you know what I mean? And throwing on your favorite song. Like, I think that's such a good way to feel emotions, self-expression, getting out of stress and anxiety. Like it really is a great way to just shake up your mood, and it's still good for your heart.
Yeah. We had another guest, Amy Greenacre, who her handle is Green Shaker because of the way she moves on the dance floor. And that's her big thing is moving her body like that through dance. Mm-hmm. And it not only can help tell you how you're feeling, but you can also dictate how you're going to feel by how you end up moving.
100%.
It's this virtuous cycle. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing.
And it could be something that just makes you happy, or it could be something that's like, hey, I'm going to put on a really sad song and just move that way because I need to cry, but I can't. And maybe this will help me.
Yeah. You ever use music like before bed? Do you have any kind of songs that
sometimes to wind me down? I work on a lot of clients daily, and I always just play like music. Like,
right.
I don't really play spa music. I play more of like Leon Bridges, like relaxing, but like words in songs. So I listen to music, I think 24/7. Okay. So
love that.
If I were to listen to music before bed, I would keep listening, and I would like start making playlists for every mood because that's the person I am. So I try not to, but music's everything to me. Shapes my mood, helps my grounding. Sometimes I play it for meditations if I need to.
I mean, there are theories that language evolved from music, right? From singing. Like it's just that singing and that dancing is what it is to be human. That's how we move. That's how we express. And so,
I know that's like one thing I do always tell my clients. I'm like, you know what? Just go put on a song, either scream it out, cry it out, or go like twerk it out.
I like that. That's got to be the quote out. Yeah.
Right. It helps.
Well, because it all interconnects. Right. Like everything that you're saying through this of, oh yeah, I eat right. I exercise right. I'm doing this, but are you sleeping? No. Well, you have to do it all. You can't ignore that.
I tell it to clients all the time. It's like, yeah, lymph is great. Lymph is so good for us, but it's not the answer to everything. And it's just something along your health journey and bits of knowledge that'll help to get you to where you need to be, but everything changes constantly. As humans and our bodies as we get older. So it's like, okay, getting pieces of that, getting pieces of this, that. Okay, yeah, my lymph feels good, but my muscles are really tight or my stress is really high. So it's just gathering it all. And again, just assessing your body as much as you can.
In terms of assessing your body, you're obviously very intuitive and thoughtful on how you move or recover physically. Do you have that kind of same sense in what you eat and how you fuel your body?
I do, but I'm very much of a balance there too. Yeah. I love food. I'm such a foodie. Like a good meal and a good restaurant and a good glass of wine, I am so happy. Like it's a love language. Like I'm so happy. So yes and no. I think when I'm out, I'm not going to restrict myself on things that I love and feel like, oh God, I wish I got the fries. You know what I mean? Like, cause at the end of the day, it's like, live your life, right? Like, I feel like I'm going to be more happy if I have that side of fries with my one meal that week, you know? So it's balanced. When I'm home and I'm on a routine and I'm working, that's when I try to keep myself a little bit better. Like, okay, I'm going to do a lot of my clean proteins, have my like arugula salads, have my water and lemon in the morning, lots and lots of water, actually.
That helps flush the lymphatic system.
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe like a little bit of like sweets or dessert here and there. But like, I'm not super strict where I'm like needing stuff, you know, like if I want a chocolate, I'm going to have a piece of chocolate.
I mean, I would still put that in the bucket of being intuitive, back to the, you can intuitively sense your body's needs, and then intuitively sense your like emotional or psychological needs too, of saying, hey, look, both are important. I need to feel engaged. I need to enjoy this. This isn't just fuel. This is, as you said, my love language. This may be like with the classes, this may be my social outlet to go out with friends. And I'm not going to say, oh, no, I can't share X because I have all these hard and fast rules.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. There has been times, especially recently too, where I maybe overindulged in something. I'm like, wow, I feel like complete right now. And the thing is, I'm not going to like put myself down about it. I'm going to have grace with it because I did it to myself. And you know what? Tomorrow's a new day, and we're going to just, okay, I'm going to be a little bit better tomorrow.
Yeah. It's just learn from it, right? Like when I have 3 brownies, I'm like, you know what? 2 might've been fine.
Not me last night, but, but no, you just kind of have to have grace, put that aside. It's a new day. Don't stress about it. I'm not going to like cry about it. It's like, okay, I did that. It was tasty. We regret it a little bit today, but you know, we're going to be better today. It's fine.
Are there any foods you try to make sure you get in? I mean, you mentioned clean proteins, you mentioned arugula. Are there any that you say, hey, like in the course of a week, these are some of the things I really want to make sure I consume because of their nutritional content or whatever it is?
Yeah, my body, like my person, like I know everyone's different for this, but I crave like good quality red meat. Like my body needs that nutrients. I think there was a long time I didn't have much steak, so I think I was very low on that iron. So I like, my body just craves it. My body also craves fruit, like clean, good fruit. Like I know in the evenings I crave cherries, but it has a natural form of magnesium. So cherries in the evenings for me is like I love it. It's sweet and it helps me go to bed. And in the mornings I love grapefruit. So I just kind of go off of things that I like crave at that moment that I'm like, okay, yeah, my body must need that, you know?
Yeah. This is a good encouragement for anyone listening to just pause and try to listen to those signals themselves, right? Instead of just doing of like, hey, here's what I do. I have oatmeal every morning for breakfast, or I have pancakes, or I have eggs, whatever it is. Like this is my routine and I do it. Routines are great and they can be helpful, but there's also a place to listen.
Yeah, it's so true. I actually had to, more recently, I had to get rid of a lot of foods from my diet. So I did have to up other things that I really do enjoy because I'm lacking some things that I also enjoyed as well, but my body needed it.
What drove that you had to pull some things out?
A parasite cleanse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So going through that was kind of cool because you learn your body in such a new way. Like you got rid of so many foods. And then when the end of that cleanse came around and you started introducing stuff back, you know what's not good for you, like personally.
You could feel it individually.
Oh, you could feel it. Like, especially if you're so good for a month and you, like, you know, that start bringing in one thing. Let me try this. Let me try that. It was wild. Like, I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah, I definitely can't have eggs.
Okay.
You know, like certain things that are, yes, they're good for a lot of people, but for me individually, eggs just, I can't do that. I can't do eggs. So it's like, okay, well, how can I look forward to my mornings in another nutritious way? You know, that still gets my protein, but how can I supplement this into something else?
And do you supplement with protein? Do you get enough from the steak?
I try to get a lot of protein just because I am like, I work out once a week and my personal goal is to up my protein to gain more muscle. So I try to find it in other ways. Like I do a lot of like turkey bacon with fruit and maybe like a clean dairy-free yogurt. So stuff like that. Like I just try to get a little bit, like a good amount of protein in each meal.
Okay. So you don't have to use any kind of protein powders or anything. It's all from the foods.
No, all from food. I'm a really big, I love like getting all my stuff from food. Like even probiotics from food. Like I think everything you can get in a supplement, you can get from food.
For sure. I mean, soil quality comes into play at times, right? Like, so you mentioned you do the magnesium to help with sleep. Do you find, like, I guess probably not now as much, but you could think maybe I need a supplement with iron or sarsaparilla to build up my iron. Are there any other deficits like that? You say, hey, I try to get as much as I can from my food, but like magnesium, these other things.
Yeah, magnesium was like the one that I was like, I think I can use a little more help with the magnesium. Because I feel like you don't really get them too much from foods. Iron, I get enough from food,
yeah.
which is great. I was doing a pre-probiotic and I didn't find them helping, to be honest. So I started doing kimchi and it works like that. So it's just kind of funny to see like where you can actually get it from food instead of, a supplement.
Sure. Yeah. It's just, I know like with kimchi or sauerkraut, right? Some of those naturally fermented, some people can't do cabbage and the fermentation. So it's like you said, so personal to what you can do.
Exactly. So some people need that extra little push from something if they can't have, because there's so many allergies and restrictions out there too. So you got to just do what you can.
So magnesium is the only one you have to do. You've been able to get everything else.
Yeah, I try not to do much protein powders. I try not to do a lot of smoothies.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I just was talking to an acupuncturist recently who was saying women actually need more of that warmth in the bodies. Okay. It's like a yin energy kind of thing. And that was pretty interesting because I was like, oh, I do have a lot of smoothies. So I just made it a pact for myself to kind of cut back on the smoothies, maybe do like one a week, but to try to get more of the warm.
My nutritionist, when I make a smoothie, has me add ice cubes because she's worried it's too warm on the blending and, coming more from the Ayurveda world. So it's funny.
That's a whole nother realm that I would love to eventually know more about, but it's so interesting, like the yin, the yang energy, and who needs the warmth and the cold. And I'm like, and the masculine side and the feminine side, I'm like, there's just so much. And this is also another big thing that I tell my clients, because there is so much out there right now with supplements, with you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to not have smoothies, do have smoothies, not protein. There's so much out there and it's so stressful. So I'm like, relax. If something just gets your eye, try it. Try it. If you don't feel anything, give it 3 weeks. If you don't feel much out of it, put that one away, So there's just a lot of info out there. So I just tell them, just don't do everything at once because it can be very overwhelming, but do what you feel called to.
Yeah. And that is a big part of this show, right? Like we're as guilty as anyone of putting more information out there. But the idea, I think, is over and over making the point, there's not this one right answer. And if you're not doing these 100 things, you're failing. It's, wow, these are these incredibly vibrant, healthy people. And they go about it in these different ways. So back to me listening and sensing, what of these resonate with me? Wow, okay, that sleep routine really clicked, but this other person's movement routine really clicked, and this other person's nutrition. And let me piece it together to find what works for me to live that lively life.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of, I think, just research and understanding and getting to know our own personal bodies to really know what's for us.
You mentioned with the classes, right? Like that may be a way people get their social connection, that's when they're engaging with people. And I find as we think about, hey, I'm healthy, right? I'm eating the right stuff. I'm moving my body the right way. Even if I'm getting a good amount of sleep, I meditate. I think about my stress management. That social connection side can often fall by the wayside at the expense of maybe some of these other things. But you seem to keep a very healthy balance of saying, hey, I'm not going to close the door on this because I'm over optimizing here. How do you think about how you cultivate that deep social connection that makes your life so enjoyable?
kind of just have to. I feel like, especially as a business owner, there's a lot of learning, and there's still learning, but there was a lot of moments of feeling very alone with owning a business. And and people are always doing their own things. And I think for me, it just got to a point where I was just like, no one's going to remember me for my work, my business, my money, whatever. They're going to know me for how I showed up for them, and the friend I was, the listener I was. And that matters more to me than putting all my eggs into my work basket. Like, I love my job. I love being Miss Lymph, but I'm also Sabrina, and I'm also a good friend, and I'm also a daughter, and I'm also a sister, and I'm also dating. I'm also this. So it's like, I think people always say, nope, you just have to be here. And like, if you want this, you have to work hard. Yeah. But I'm still in my 30s. This is my prime, and this is my time to have more life experiences too with my people I love in my life. So for me, that's really important for me, and it's setting boundaries. So for me, I have two phones. I have a work phone and a personal phone.
Yeah.
After my work hours, my phone is in the room on silent. I'll answer you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, it's clients. You could be getting clients. I'm like, if it's important, they can wait. Like, my mental health comes first. I can go on about this, but it took some time, because I used to be terrible. I used to answer people at like midnight. And I'm like, I have to stop that. Like, that's not sustainable. That causes burnout, life's too short. Gotta still like be able to go out with your friends and go to the beach and not have to stress.
It's so important. I was giving a talk to a company around a book I wrote, and talking about deciding what you want to put into your mind and when, right? Like setting those parameters. And for example, email or social media, whatever, that people are just pushing into you, and then you're handing your mind to them. And someone had asked a question saying, hey, look, I get it, but I'm in sales. And my dad always said he was so successful in sales because he was the first to get back. Right? He was always there, the first to get back.
Yeah.
And the response was, that's fine, but that needs to be your decision, not his, of what is more important to you, to feel that you don't carry this stress, you don't carry this burden, you have this social life, or to be the best at sales. And neither is right or wrong. It's just, you need to know what you actually want, versus you wanted it because you were raised in an environment that thought that was more valuable. Do you actually think and feel it's more valuable? And it's a journey, right? Like you said, you started in one way, and then you look up and you're like, no, this isn't actually what I want out of life. Much better to find it in your 20s and 30s than in your 80s, right? When you're way further down the line and have less time to benefit from that.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think it's okay to always change how you show up for things. And it's okay to pivot really anytime, and to be like, okay, this isn't working. Actually, let me try it a different way. And it's fine. You can try it. It might not work, but then you're like, okay, that didn't work. Let me go back. Like, it's okay to change. I think people feel like they have to stick with the certain way and a routine. And I'm like, no, well, if something's not working and it's not feeling you in some way, then how can you change that? It's self-discovery. You got to go different routes, and some might suck. Some might be fantastic, but you don't know, I definitely was I was in one of those moods this week, actually. And you have to have your community of other people to be like, no, you're fine. It's just a speed bump.
Yeah.
You're going to be great. Pause, reflect, reassess. What's not working? What is working? Okay, now let's go that route.
Yeah. And so what is that community for you? Like, how have you built that?
It took time, but it's other business owners that I've met through work, really, or out or networking events. And I mean, not all of them are click the way, some do, but, sometimes you meet people and you're like, wow, we just click so fast. And now we confide in each other. Like, we're both all business owners and work for ourselves. And we're like, we don't have a team, but now we are a team, because we can help and we have a different point of view. We have a different outlook on something, because our businesses all are a little different. So it's just nice. It's nice to have that, and it's needed. It's really needed.
And those networking events, I mean, are there any specific, you're like, man, this was a really good one. I got a few of my best kind of friends or connections out of that?
Oh my gosh, it's hard to name one. There's been so many. Like there's a lot of brand events that I normally work at, whether it's for other big brands like Clear Stem's a big one. I meet a lot of people through there, or even my friend Aisha. She does Coffee and a Good Vibe, and it's just a bunch of business owners and people in like wellness and just people that are like-minded, and so we get it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you tell things to people who don't run a business or who aren't doing the same things, their response is not really going to be what you're looking for. And it could feel like a little like, oh, I don't know if that helped me, nor do I want to put that onto them. Right. But someone who is going through the same stuff in life, it's be easier to understand each other and be like, okay, this is what I think you need. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I feel you. I hear you. But let's breathe, pause, and then, reevaluate and reassess.
I mean, we met maybe through someone you met through one of those connections through Felice. Is there anyone else that you think we should have on the show that you think our listeners would benefit from hearing from?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can name so many. But one that I'll name is my friends Brian and Alex at Shen Generation.
Okay.
They're fantastic. So it's hard to explain really what he does. It's like a type of body work also. We actually share the back house together and we work out of there.
Okay.
But he's like a wizard when it comes to the human body and what people need and just everything. He's helped me through a lot of my stuff too. So it's fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check him out.
Yeah, I'll send it.
Thank you. Well, Sabrina, we will certainly put links to your social and everything about you in the show notes. But before we sign off, thank you so much for the time. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners before we go?
Just to get through your day and put a smile on your face and just take one day at a time and just do things that make you happy.
Yeah. Just do things that make you happy.
Do things that make you happy. That's it. Yeah. And drink your water.
Do things that make you happy and drink your water.
And drink your water. Even if that doesn't make you happy. No, okay. We gotta learn. We gotta be better.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Sabrina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Home of Healthspan podcast. And remember, you can always find the products, practices, and routines mentioned by today's guests, as well as many other Healthspan role models on alively.com. Enjoy a lively day.